Welcome to Super Boothers. My name is Ryan.
And I'm Ismail.
Hello, sharks. I'm asking for $3 million for 1% of my company.
Oh, God. This guy thinks he's Mr. Wonderful.
I am.
But the topic of today's show, in case you've been living under a rock and you haven't seen, Ryan posted something in the Facebook group online that got a lot of attention, a lot of people submitting questions to him. He did a permanent install at a dentist office, I believe, and people, it seemed to really hit a button with people. They were really curious about how you go about getting that, pricing, all sorts of questions that they submitted to Ryan. So we're going to be spending the show talking about that and Ryan responding to those questions.
You people seriously flip shit on my Facebook, and I got a million, not really, I think I got about like 20 messages from everyone. And they were all with amazing, amazing questions. And I tried to get with everyone that I could. And as we're recording this right now, 2 more people popped in. So I'll get to y'all in a moment. But one of the biggest things was pricing. Everyone was asking how much I charge and how to go about the structure with this deal. And the big thing is it doesn't matter. My pricing really is my pricing, and that's what fits me, but not necessarily what may fit you. So rather than give my pricing, I try and help people with how they are coming up with their rental rates. So one of the first things that really kind of came about was, I want, passive monthly, recurring revenue, and I want it now. And, I want 30 of these things, and that's all fine and good. But the real key to passive income is low and slow and steady. I think that, and I've said this before, don't get greedy. Whenever you get greedy, that's where problems can really come up. The biggest thing right now that I guess I really need to talk about is how I went out structuring and pricing this rental.
Yeah, and I think what you're saying is perfect, that people can't just copy your pricing because they may not apply to them. Everyone's in a different location. Some people are in a different country. They have different booths. You can't just copy the pricing flat out. I think understanding the structure and the logic behind why Ryan structured his deal that way is really the lesson to take away here, not the actual dollar number amount.
So without really kind of giving away names, there was someone that asked me, hey, can you take a look at, a proposal that I just fired off? And I took a look at it, and, they asked me what I thought. And rather than just having a knee jerk, I was like, okay, where are you getting your photo booth, and how much does this photo booth cost? And then, what are you including with this? What is your software cost? Kind of really the bigger picture. One of the biggest things that someone really asked me was, should I do it at, X amount of dollars? And my big thing was, do not go into debt for your client. Do not overextend yourself personally. I think that is the biggest thing is, you need to do an install fee. An install fee is kind of a great way just to say, hey, listen, here's what we're doing now. This is what it costs, for us to go in here and put this into your place of business. That install fee should cover your time, and most, if not all, of your materials. I noticed that some people were purchasing photo booths, in anywhere from $1,500 all the way up to $4,000 to put into these places. That's fine. You can do whatever you want to do. Like I said, in a previous episode, is we design for other people, not ourselves. The market wants what the market wants, and if people are willing to pay for it, then by all means, shove a $4,000 booth into someone's bar.
Yeah, I think that what you said before was everyone's kind of chasing the recurring revenue. It's very tempting. Everybody wants it, but you don't want to put yourself in a bad position where you're spending more than you're making in the first 6 months. I think that you have to be smart and diligent about how you structure the deal, where at least, like Ryan said, most of it is covered up front so that you can actually profit. You can't think that, okay, I'm going to spend $4,000 on a booth, I'm going to do a $1,000 install fee, and then I'm going to make my money over the next 4 years. That's when not knowing the numbers comes back to haunt you, and you think you're making money, but you're actually losing money, and you don't want to be put in that position.
So what I did is I made sure that all of my costs were covered in the beginning. The way that you can structure it is a couple of ways. The way I like to do it, and the way kind of, I guess, my little secret sauce or what have you is doing a marginal install fee and then doing a lower monthly fee. The problem that I find with I do have an option where there is a zero install fee and then it's a really high monthly fee. I don't like that. That's not what I want to do. I want to make my client happy. The problem with someone actually threw out the number of $1,000 a month. That is fine if you can get someone to pay it. I am not here to knock that one down. I will take $1,000 that I don't have to work for any day of the week. Problem with that is if you're going into a place like a bar or a restaurant, that's kind of an unnecessary expense that they have. You are going to have a hard time justifying someone spending $1,000 a month every single month if they're not seeing a direct return.
Yeah, and think about yourself as a business owner. When you get to a point where you have to cut costs, right? If things get tight or things are not going as well as you like, you look for those things, and what's going to be the first thing you cut is the $1,000 a month photo booth thing in your business. So you don't want to be that high priced where it's easy to justify getting rid of you. Yeah,
that is a great way to kind of really alienate your client. The last thing you want to do is piss someone off. You really want to provide a great social media marketing outlet where your customer is easily seeing a return. Hey, you know what? These people are coming in the door because they saw, a couple of their friends that were doing brunch. They took a picture in the booth. They posted it. It came out great. Fantastic. Everyone's happy. They made an extra, $250, $300 on that table. So you really want to be adding value, not necessarily being so greedy as to just, I just want, passive income.
Right. And the adding value point, I don't know if people got a chance to see the picture, the video that you posted. Maybe we can put that in the show notes, but to set yourself apart from other people that are just selling permanent installs, I think one thing that you did, Ryan, was you combined the booth with the decor of that waiting room in the office, right? So do you advise trying to find ways to make it more unique so that they can't get that from someone else?
I will have to say this, that whenever the office was being built, that airplane tail was supposed to go on a wall. And I asked him what it was. And he's like, you know what? I said, can I use it? I want to try something. He's like, have at it. I was like, can I drill into it? He goes, be my guest. So it's looking for those things to where you can provide that added value. I go ahead.
But I don't want people to underestimate what just happened there. It's not just about, buy a regular iPad booth and go bring that booth into the location. You have to find a way to add unique value. And that's what Ryan did. To him, it comes naturally. I don't know if it's an easy thing to pick up, from listening to one show, but you have to train your mind to be able to look for those things where you see something cool, you make something cool that nobody else can really offer. And of course, they're going to go with you and stick with you because nobody else can give them that value.
I got a lot of other business from this particular dentist because of what happened with this one particular installation. So he very much trusts me, and we're becoming really good friends, and I enjoy it. And I think it's a great working relationship to have with your client. One of the things that I really, really need to stress is don't be so literal with how you design these things. It's really easy to go to a bar, to mount a ring light and an iPad on a wall and say, here you go. One of the things I really like to do is to put a vinyl wrap. I like to put a vinyl wrap on the wall that it's going on, and then mounting the booth on top of that. It can say, hey, check in for, whatever discount the restaurant's providing, or, whatever. I really do think that the more added value you bring, the more your client is going to trust you in, the next thing that comes along.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And I think people are always trying to find or chase the easy money. And what you're learning from listening to Ryan is that it's easier to make the easy money if you're doing things that are not so easy, if that makes any sense. So trying to find ways to stand out and do things that other vendors are not offering. It may not be that technically complicated to do what Ryan did, but not everyone saw that opportunity. And just being able to do that sets you apart. And now they want to work with you in the future for other things. And think about when other people walk into that dentist office, they bring their kids there, they have their own bars, they have their own restaurants, they work at a casino. They're going to see that and say, that's cool. I have not seen something like that anywhere else. Who did that? And it leads to more work.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and take a question.
Hi, Super Boothers. My name is Jessica. I'm with OSnap Selfie Photo Booth in Houston, and we just started doing permanent installs. My question is, how do we make it easy for for establishments to pull the trigger and use us for their permanent installs? Thank you.
You hold them hostage. And
I'm still distracted. Whenever I hear "Oh Snap," I think of that Fergie song. What is that? Have you heard that song?
how come every time we come around my no, okay, we're getting off topic here.
Back to the question.
Back to the question. I really have to say is I would go at it with the angle of just providing value. And you know what? Whenever you put in this booth, we have analytics on what people do with it. I know that a couple of iPad apps have the ability to track what users are doing with their photos, with engagement and views and total reach and everything. So I would come at it with that angle is, instead of putting a little menu card that says, hashtag this here, walk over to the photo booth and take a photo. I think that, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and, I'm sure a GIF is worth a hell of a lot more. I would love for someone to say this photo booth brought me X amount of dollars in business. I just think that there's nothing better than that.
But now I'm wondering, like for the example of your install with the dentist office, is that really bringing new business, or is that just a way for the company to offer more entertainment value for their existing client, and their value is retaining clients rather than getting new business?
No, so that is their problem. They do have several other dental offices, which photo booths will be going in shortly.
Cha-ching.
Yeah, no kidding. That's the thing is once they have the client, it is keeping them and having them bring their friends in. With a photo booth, it's a pediatric dentist, so they're marketing more to kids. You kind of have to go to a kid's level and see what a kid's doing. I think that if the mother is posting, gosh, this dentist made my life so much easier. My kid hates going to the dentist. Last time, all hell broke loose. We went this time and he had video games. He had, all this other stuff, to make him comfortable. I love going to this because it's just like daycare, but for a dental visit. It makes kids excited to go to the dentist. That's what he's trying to accomplish with other people seeing that on, mom and dad's feed.
And clearly it's working, because just posting it in our group, people were amazed at the dentist office. Like, imagine kids walking in there.
Everybody lost their shit. They're like, I want to go to that dentist. That is absolutely what this photo booth is providing. It's that factor of, and that's another thing. This building is a very discreet building. From the outside, you would not know that all that craziness is inside.
Mm-hmm. So I guess just to sum up that question that was just asked, and I don't know, you got all the questions sent to you, but I would imagine that someone listening to this or seeing that is wondering, I have a photo booth business. How do I get in and get recurring revenue by doing permanent installs? What do you do? Like, what is the new booth owner or someone that hasn't done this before? How do they pitch it? How do they know who to approach? What do they say? I think that's really what people are looking to take away.
I think we have a question.
Oh, that wasn't planned.
Hi, Super Boothers. This is Jessica again with OSnap Selfie Photo Booth. I was wondering, how do we compete with those all-in-one digital jukeboxes that also have a photo booth built in? They do not do printing, but we've heard from restaurant and bar owners that they already have a jukebox that does photo booth pictures. How do we compete with them when we're trying to get business for a permanent install? Thank you.
Okay, so this is a problem. The issue with those jukeboxes is the customer has to pay for it. They're putting in their credit card. It's subpar lighting. It's generally at the bar that I've seen it at. It's right next to the restroom, so it's not exactly in the best spot. The jukebox company is connected to iTunes. They're just getting revenue by having that jukebox in there. What we are doing as photo booth providers is giving them a social media outlet in their bar that's free to the customer to use.
I think that's a great question, though, because, prior to discussing this in depth with you, Ryan, I think a lot of people were looking at it as, how do I get booths in locations permanently where I make money and the venue owner makes money? Like putting it into a mall, having people pay to use it. It's easier to sell them on having a booth there because they're getting a cut of it. I'm getting a cut of it. How do you differentiate selling these things where it's free, there's no real revenue coming in, versus doing those coin-operated or card-operated booths where there's actually money coming in to both parties?
So here's the difference. I think that with coin-operated photo booths is kind of really not the way to go if you want to go for social sharing. If you're doing that, the customer is the only one that benefits from that. If you're doing a photo booth that's free to the customer to use, to where they can post online, doesn't necessarily cost you anything to do that, you're just adding that like little buzz factor to whatever business that they're trying to do it in. And I think that the more creative the person is with that installation, whether that's in how it's presented, in this case it was, an airplane themed dentist office and, shoved on the back of an airplane, or you do something really cool with a GIF, or the layout or whatever. I think that is what absolutely differentiates it.
So what about it sounds like the takeaway there is that you're advising doing not the coin operated way, but going into venues, finding a way to add value with the social sharing and have them pay for it. And that's an easier, transaction to make rather than, hey, let me put this in the corner of the bar and then you make a buck and I make a buck off every print, right?
That's kind of like an ATM business model. And I think that by thinking in a very old way like that, I don't think that there's way to, I'm sure there is. I just wouldn't do it.
So I guess, what about the semantics of having this permanent install? Like, what are you obligated to do on an ongoing basis for that monthly income? Do you give them reports on metrics? Do you have to go and check on it? Do you have to change?
Sure. So what we do is we train whoever manager in that business, and hey, here's this iPad. Here's how it works. If it ever blows up, call me. I'll come out and fix it. For the most part, we put guided access on the iPad, so no one's going out of the app. We have it attached to a ring light. If you want to, turn the ring light off at the end of the day, feel free to do that. Analytics are done once a month. Generally, whenever it's billed, send out the bill and the invoice, and then send out the analytics for it. Hey, here's what our reach is. Here's how many views we got. And then from there, that's about it.
So how does insurance play into this? Is there any liability?
Sure.
Anything in regards to
So
that?
this is the thing. So this kind of goes back to pricing, is you need to figure out how much of your equipment you're doing. There were some people that told me that, we're buying, a $2,500 booth. I absolutely seeing insuring that. What I would do is I would have the insurance on my end. I'm not necessarily sure I would have the clients. I don't think I would require them to have the insurance on it if I'm already covering it. And I think that just kind of needs to be wrapped up in your costs. That way you're kind of assuming responsibility for it or what have you. If someone steals it, it's fine. You just charge them, your deductible or what have you. I am to the point where my cost on this is absolutely minimal. I wouldn't even mess with insurance on it. Because my cost is so low. If the place burned down or someone came in and stole it, the only thing that is of real value is the iPads, and those are insured through the provider anyways. Meaning,
plus you get most of the cost covered up front in your installation.
Yeah. So sure, someone go ahead and steal it. I would love to see them rip it off the wall after I seriously bolted it in there.
So speaking of the contracts, the long-term contracts, do you have them locked into a long-term contract? And if so, why do you do that if you are so willing to let them out early?
So I'm not really wanting to let them out early, but if it's not providing results, then I don't really want to keep it there. What I do is I give them several options. So I could either do a really high installation fee and a really low monthly fee, or I could do a really, really, really low installation fee and a higher monthly fee. Depending on the length of the term. I think that if I'm really going to be able to do nothing less than 3 months, if I have someone hesitating, I will just set it up in the beginning. You know what? Let's just try this for 3 months. Let's see what it does, and then we'll go from there. I don't think I would, if someone is unsure, I don't think I would really talk them into doing something that's, 12 or 24 months. That's just, you're just going to piss everyone off then. I would go really, really low if they're in any way hesitating.
I think what I would want to hear as someone interested in this is, and maybe you can riff off this for just a bit, like, let's say I have a dentist office or some kind of business, in my town. Like, how do I go about, like, do I just go up there, knock on the door, be like, hey, I got a thing I want to sell you. Do you want it? Like, what do you do in order to get the client? I don't know how you got this particular client or how you've gotten your other ones, but how do people actually go sell this or go hunt places to sell these installs?
You would be surprised how many people come up at regular events wanting to put a photo booth into their business. We have one in a med spa where, I guess women are going in doing Botox and facials and all sorts of other ungodly things that I don't think we should know about. We put an iPad in that situation, and everyone loves it because they're able to kind of show their results immediately after.
So that's really interesting. You're saying that they come to you.
They really do. And it's just...
It's the Bernie Madoff form of selling.
Absolutely. Wait, are you... I love a Ponzi scheme. I'm not going to lie. And no.
I just watched the miniseries. That's why I brought it up. But he was against selling. He let people come to him. And that's how he was able to build his Ponzi scheme so big. And it sounds like you're not really actively going out hunting permanent installs. People come to you and they have the vision of what they want before you even speak to them. It's
the best Ponzi scheme ever. No, so it really does happen. I had a motorcycle company. We did, I think it was a wedding, and they came up and said, hey, listen, we want to put this in one of our little dealerships. What can we do? And I was like, what?
But why does that happen? Like, why do some business owners see that and other people need to be convinced? Like, what are you doing differently than other vendors that people come up to you, they own a motorcycle shop and a spa, and they say, you know what, this would be great to put in my business, and everyone else is struggling trying to sell it. There's something else going on here. Tell us your secrets, Ryan.
You have to pay for that.
No, but seriously, I think that's the general idea that people should take away from it, that you want people coming up to you asking for it rather than you pounding it down their throat. But what do you do to set that up so that people end up approaching you?
So that's the thing, is the way how I guess these last ones have kind of worked is people have just seen our original glow booth. They see that it's light, it's compact, it's small, and they're like, hey, can I buy one of these? That was a question that came up so often, and for the longest time I was not even considering selling it. And then someone asked me to put it into their business, and I was like, this is kind of a little bit cumbersome. Why don't we just nail it against a wall? And that's kind of where it came from. It was didn't have a lot of foot space, so the wall was kind of the only option.
So do you see the industry going in a direction, like is this an untapped market? It seems like people were really focused on coin operated machines before, and just now in the last few years, there's a new movement to have businesses have actual iPad booths in there that are not being charged; they're free. Do you think this is an untapped market? Do you think that people should be focusing on this more now? I'll ask the next question after.
So I think that you absolutely need to still pay attention to your rental business, and then this just needs to be, peripheral income. I don't think that I would not focus on this in its entirety and have that be my number one goal. I think I've just kind of always let it just kind of happen organically. What I really enjoy is a lot of my clients really give me the freedom to kind of do what I want to do.
Yeah, and when they approached you, is it more of a question that they have? Hey, I have an idea to put this in my location. What do you think? Or do they do you have to convince them, or do you answer questions, or are they already set on it?
I answer questions. The way how these last couple have worked is someone would come up and say, "Hey, listen, do you sell this? I'd love to have this in my business." I'll say, "What do you do?" And I'll fix the problem that they didn't even know that they have. And I'm really having trouble with getting people in on Wednesdays or something like that. You know what? Let's do a GIF. Bottom of it, say free pizza night on Wednesday, kids under whatever. And that way you're kind of promoting whatever message you really want to send out. Actually, I have a car wash client where we didn't put a photo booth there. There's other things going on there, but we were talking about text message marketing, and I asked him, "What's your biggest problem?" He goes, "On Wednesdays, I am paying my staff. They are doing nothing. Nobody is coming in the door. I need to increase Wednesday sales."
He's not even breaking even. He's losing
Absolutely.
money.
So you know what? Let's do a promotion for Wednesday. Help people solve their problems. Don't start selling people. Be the resource, fix the problem, and then go from there.
Yep. I think that is a total gold mindset shift where don't try to sell them something just so you can make money, right? Try to find out what their issues are, what they're struggling with, and figure out how to add value to them, and then you'll naturally make money as a byproduct. Focus on helping rather than helping yourself make more money.
And that's another thing is there was a couple of people that sent me their proposals on what they sent out their clients, and thank you so much for sharing that with me. Hopefully I can help you people a little bit. A couple of people had other additional things, and one was we can add on printing with this. There's another one where we can
I've made that mistake before, where I remember one of the biggest things I bid on as a permanent install, I made that mistake of adding a lot of it. Just made it more confusing. Do you want print? Do you want a backdrop? Do you want this? Do you
make
want that?
Make the decision for your client. No. Make the decision for your client. They want to talk to someone that has seen more and done more. And I've done this before, and here's what we're going to do. That's also a little bit my personality. I'm you can tell me what you would like. That's cute. I'm just going to give you what I'm going to give you anyways, and it's going to be better than what you imagine. And that's just because I've done it for so long. But the big key here is to set the example and to set the expectation with your client by saying, you know what, this happened, didn't really work out so much. Why don't we go ahead and do this? Let's give your guests one option. If they want to do something cute, you can add a couple of filters and go from there. But for the most part, keep the messaging and pricing incredibly simple. Do 3 options, whatever those may be.
Do you offer prints for most of these permanent installs, or is it almost all digital?
No, it is entirely digital. I have not sold one print only because I do not want to mess with the printer. I do not want to mess with. So I travel a lot. So my worst fear is, I have one in Vegas, and I'm absolutely not going to fly out to Vegas to fix a printer. I mean, sure, I could have, someone go, fix it for me, but I'm just not down for that.
So how often do issues happen with these digital only permanent installations that you have? Is it often?
Very rarely. The way how I install it, I hide all of my wiring. I make sure that people can't screw with it. This one in particular, there's kids. I make sure that a kid could hang from that thing and it's not going anywhere. So that's just a little bit of me and just making sure my install is done correctly.
So when things do go wrong, what do they tend to be? What are the problems mostly?
Problem I had recently was an iPad went dead, and I'm like, well, is it plugged in? And she couldn't tell me. Whenever I went out there, a power cord had frayed. And I don't know how, I don't know if it was where, I really don't know how it happened. Replace the cord, no big deal. And it was, up and running, 2 hours after she told me.
Have you had any of these installs there for a long time, like years, where maybe the iPad needs to be replaced, it got old, or is it none of them have been that long? Like, what happens in the long term?
I really
you have to replace equipment.
The longest has been maybe a year. I think I would switch out iPads after a year to begin with. Funny story, just as I installed this last dental office, I got alert on my phone saying that the new iPad was available, and I could not have been more pissed off.
Yeah, I saw that too. From my perspective, I think this has been very valuable. I just want to shout out to everyone that was asking the questions. That's the only reason we decided to have this bonus episode off our regular schedule, is that people really seemed interested in this topic. And, keep letting us know what you find valuable and interesting, and we'll do our best to put together some valuable shows for you. Keep them coming.
Yes, thank you for losing your shit. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to put together a little blog post that'll be in the show notes, and I will talk about everything that I did on this particular installation, and hopefully you can figure out how you can install one on your own.
You guys definitely want to see what he's putting together. I got a sneak peek at it. It's really detailed, even like down to how he put that specific thing together. I think it's very valuable. Make sure you go over and get it. It's totally free. He'll have it up in the show notes.
Thank you so much for listening to this bonus episode of Super Boothers. Please visit our website at superboothers.com. Tell us what you think. We'd love to hear your comments. Visit us on Twitter and Instagram at superboothers. Join us next week with our special guest, Kelly Williams, for real this time. It's really the next episode, I promise. And don't forget the moral of the story.
Get that money.
We'll see you next week. Thank you so much for listening.